Oh, to be a wonder of the world. Hi, my name is Wendy Weather, the history drag queen, and today we are discussing the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Now, what makes something a world wonder? Well, we actually don't know. The current world wonders were actually voted upon by the people, whereas the ancient world wonders are very notable feats of ancient civilizations. There are in total 7 of them. And let's go ahead and dive right into number 7. Number 7, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. It was located on the western coast of Asia Minor, what is now modern-day Turkey, and it was built in the 6th century. And it was dedicated to the Greek goddess of the hunt, Artemis. The temple itself was built by a Greek architect, but all of the most prolific artisans and artists in the entire ancient world came to help decorate and carve out and put together the entire illustriousness of the Temple of Artemis. The temple was unfortunately a victim of an arson attack in 356 by somebody who shall remain nameless. He actually set the temple on fire to get his name in the history books of, yes, I'm the one who set it on fire, it was me, mwahaha, to gain notoriety and infamy. Well, it backfired on him. He was put to death by the government, and they made it illegal to say his name. And you couldn't even, name your kids his name. They fully were like, nope, this name is absolutely banned in the existence of humans. Nope. Honestly, the correct protocol, in my opinion. But they actually rebuilt the temple, and it was completely surrounded by these really awesome, cool marble steps and had a 400-foot terrace. Kind of iconic. But it was unfortunately destroyed once again by Ostrogoths in 262 AD. Fun fact, in the 1860s, they actually found ruins of the Temple of Artemis in the Castor River. And some of them are on display in museums. Ah, amazing. Number 6, the statue of Zeus at Olympia. It was quite apropos a depiction of the Greek god of thunder and king of the gods, Zeus. The statue was completely made of ivory and gold and stood up to 40 feet tall. 40 feet! It depicted him sitting on his throne being held up by 2 sphinxes. And the statue actually stood for more than 800 years. Until Christian priests actually persuaded the then Roman emperor at the time to shut down the temple. And he did. The statue was then moved to Constantinople, where it actually was destroyed in a fire in 462. Number 5, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which may not have actually existed. It is debated by historians and architects alike that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon probably didn't exist. The fabled gardens were alleged to have been built near the Euphrates River near modern-day Iraq by Nebuchadnezzar II for his lover. His lover was from Medea, and she actually missed all of the green foliage and just her homeland. And so he wanted to, make her feel more at home, and he allegedly built these cascading terrace gardens. It was alleged to be 75 feet tall of these cascading terrace gardens that had all this beautiful, beautiful foliage and just dozens of orchards within it. And modern day historians and architects have actually this had to, if it did exist, it had to have had the most extensive water irrigation system in all of human history, with pumps, cisterns, wheels, everything, all the way from the Euphrates River to the gardens, which is very skeptical because all we know about the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were actually only from Greek literature and plays. There are no first-hand accounts that the gardens even existed, even in cuneiform Babylonian text or anything. They're What gardens? What gardens? Huh? What garden? Who's she? We didn't have any gardens. Do you think the hanging gardens of Babylon existed? Say in the comments. Number 4, the pyramids of Giza. The pyramids of Giza are actually the only ancient wonder that still exists today. They are located on the west banks of the Nile River near Cairo and were built from around 27 to 25,000 BC as royal tombs. Archaeologists have actually found numerous treasures and prized possessions in the tombs, but it's actually said the tombs were actually looted probably around 225 to 50 years after they were initially built. And unlike the other world wonders we'll discuss today, you can actually go to the pyramids of Giza right now. I actually hear there's a really good Pizza Hut near there. So check it out. Up next, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, as well as a costume change. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was located on an island called Pharos near the city of Alexandria. It was built by a Greek architect around 270 BC under the reign of Ptolemy II. And it helped Nile River ships come in and out of the very, very busy harbor. And the lighthouse itself stood anywhere from around 200 to 600 feet tall. But after many years of research, it's actually said that the lighthouse was more around 380 feet tall. Shockingly, the Lighthouse of Alexandria actually stood for a really long time. The lighthouse itself didn't start deteriorating from a series of earthquakes until from the time span of 950 to about 1300-ish. That's like well over a millennia. And the lighthouse itself was completely destroyed by 23 or 32. Either 1323 or 1322. So the diva was around for well over a millennia. Like she was there for a hot minute. And today, some architects and archaeologists have actually found ruins of the Lighthouse of Alexandria in the Nile River. The next wonder is the Colossus of Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes was actually a 100-foot bronze statue and sculpture of the sun god Helios. It was designed by a Greek sculptor named Kare, and it took him 12 years to make it. It was alleged to be the tallest sculpture in the ancient world, and it depicted the sun god Helios with a torch in one hand and a spear in the other, as well as his feet spread apart with one touching one end of the harbor and one on the other. But that is actually not true at all. Physicists, historians, scholars, and architects have generally consensus that his feet were actually together because if they weren't, he would have toppled over of his own weight and also like wind and just like it would not be able to hold the sculpture up if it was so spread apart like that. So his feet were actually together. The Colossus of Rhodes actually stood for about 60 years until it was destroyed by an earthquake in 280 BC. And because it took 12 years to build and put together, when it was destroyed, everybody was like, yeah, we're just not gonna put that back up. That took forever and a half. Yeah, we're good. It's fine. Then, about 100 years after, Rhodes was actually invaded by Arabic troops, and they scrapped the Colossus of Rhodes for resources and parts, which is unfortunate because we now do not really know where the remnants of the Colossus of Rhodes went to or what it's in at all whatsoever. It has truly been lost to time and history forever. And now we have the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus. Located in what is now southeastern Turkey, the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus was a tomb built by Artemisia for her husband Mausolus. Mausolus was the king of Carnia and also Artemisia's brother. Yeah, we're just gonna skip over that because that's kind of crazy. But anyway, Mausolus, who was also Artemisia's brother, died in I think 353 BC. According to legend, Artemisia was so grief-stricken when her husband and brother passed away, she actually had this huge commission of a mausoleum built in his honor to place his remains in. As well as not only that, she would take his ashes and mix them in like hot water for tea and drink them. Okay, she was crazy. All right. Now back to the mausoleum itself. The mausoleum was built entirely of white marble, and it was about 130 feet tall. Now, the mausoleum of Halicarnassus actually didn't get destroyed until the 13th century. Now, to recap, the king of Carnia, Mausolus, he died in 353 BC. 353 BC. And the mausoleum itself did not crumble until the 13th century. Wild. And if you've been paying attention to most of this video, it was indeed destroyed by an earthquake. And some of the ruins of the mausoleum of Halicarnassus were actually used in the fortification of a castle. And they were discovered in 1846. They actually found one of the mausoleum's friezes in that castle. And so they took it out in order to preserve it, and it actually is currently in the British Museum in London. And those were the 7 ancient wonders of the world. Now, most of these have been destroyed except for the pyramids of Giza, but if they weren't, which ones or one would you have visited? I feel like I personally would have definitely visited the Colossus of Rhodes and probably the Zeus statue at Olympia. Defo would have checked those out. And if the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were like actually real, it would be like the best place for like an Instagram photo shoot. Like it would be great. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stick around because you just might learn something.